And we're live. Don't you know we're gonna groove and jive? Stream with me and learn with T and C. Oh yeah, gonna get down. Got John, Duan, and Aaron in the house, and Sue and Paco behind the scenes, helping everyone learn. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to AWS Power Hour AI Practitioner, Season 2, Episode 1. Today, we're going to talk to you all about, actually, what are we talking about, Duan and John? I don't even know.
I think it has something to do with something that's been on everybody's mind for the past year and a half.
The fundamentals of generative AI, or the fundamentals of AI. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah,
To
All of
help
the
everyone
above.
learn.
yeah, we're talking a little bit more than just generative AI. We're kind of taking the whole machine learning, artificial intelligence, and kind of breaking it down in simple terms so people can have a lay of the land understanding.
Because we're doing this to help everyone prepare for the AI Practitioner certification from AWS. So I guess we should go ahead and say hi to people. John, do you want to go first and introduce yourself?
Sure thing. My name is John Marciniak. I'm a solutions architect at AWS, and I've been here for about 6.5 years, based out of Chicago, Illinois. Glad to see y'all.
Awesome. Duan, you're up next.
Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Dewan Lightfoot. I am a developer advocate here at AWS. I was focused on cloud networking, but with the shift to AI, I've been really focused the last 2 years on generative AI and helping customers understand how to use things like Amazon Bedrock and Amazon Q Developer.
And those are two services. So if you haven't heard of those, let us know in the chat. And also let us know where each of you are joining from, not the hosts, but actually where you're watching from. So all of our viewers today, let us know in the chat, in the comments, where you're viewing from. My name is Aaron Hunter. I'm a principal developer advocate focused on AWS training certification. And I'm here to help each of you understand what John and Duan are talking about. I'll do my best anyway, but let's go ahead and tell all of our friends where we're streaming to today. So we have twitch.tv/AWS. We have LinkedIn's AWS main showcase page. We have YouTube. So that's pretty cool. The AWS events page. What else? Twitch, Facebook. Yeah, we have Facebook also. Hey, friends, let us know in the comments where you're joining from, because we can see those coming through, and we can maybe even bring a couple of them up. I see Austin. I see one of our chat moderators, Custom Polly, watching from Twitch. Brazil, Nigeria, Denver, wow. Seattle. Hey, I was actually in Seattle 2 weeks ago. Irvine, Brazil, a lot of Brazil. Bom dia, my friends, bom dia. All right, John, what's on our agenda for the day?
Well, today we are going to be talking about the AI Practitioner certification. I think that we're going to bring up that page. Do we have that page? I don't have that page.
You don't have that page? I do have that page. You know what? I got that page. Let me bring that page up. Hold on.
Bring up that page.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Does anyone else have that page? Do you have that page? I got that page. I win. All right. And our chat moderators are going to go ahead and drop links to these in the chat as well. So you can see we have a day full of, or the next hour and a half rather, full of stuff here. So we're going to talk about build powerful ML models without writing any code. That may be Amazon Bedrock. It may be Amazon Q Developer. We'll see once we get further along. But John, you wanted to talk about the AWS Certified AI Practitioner certification. What is this thing, and how do we help people learn more about it?
Well, it is a practitioner level certification. It's got all sorts of, let me bring up that page. I can't really see that page.
You know what? That is fair. Let me zoom in a little bit for all of our friends who are watching live. So here is the page that you should have a link for it. It's the AI Practitioner Foundational. There's a link on the screen as well. So go ahead and click, not the link on the screen, but the link that's in the chat. It is a foundational exam. It lasts for about 90 minutes. And I say about 90 because you could finish it faster. You just can't finish it any longer than that. So you have 90 minutes to complete 65 questions. Now, what's cool about this thing, there's this thing known as an exam guide. And if we scroll down on the page, there's a 4-step plan. I'll open that. We'll visit that in just a moment here. But the exam guide, which is that second link, is this right here. And the exam guide is going to walk you through everything about this exam. I'm going to do it super quick because you want to know why? There's an entire episode from season 1 that outlines the entire exam guide for you. But here you can see there are some pretty cool things that we're going to cover, these 5 domains. So domain 1 is episode 1, fundamentals of AI and ML, which is 20% of the scored content. Domain 2 is episode 2. Domain 3 is episode 3. And we really wanted to focus on domains 4 and 5 in one episode. So we're going to do that on episode 4. So come back each week for the next 3-4 weeks. This is week 1. And we'll see you as we help you prepare for the AI practitioner certification. John, do you have the page up now?
I finally have the page up, but you already have it up. So,
all right. So I told everyone about this get to know the exam 4-step plan. So if you do click on that, you can see that this is the link here. You can go through some additional training, some additional hands-on experience. I see someone on Twitch is asking where the link is. So don't worry, either Polly or Jeff are going to drop that link in the chat for you if they haven't already. And let's jump all the way back over here and actually ask people, hey, is this your first time watching AWS Power Hour? Let us know yes or no in the chat. I'm going to remove my screen here because I have something else I want to pull up. I do have all of it right here. There it is. Why am I so dark now? All right, there we go. Let us know in the chat. Is this your first time watching AWS Power Hour? You can type 1 for yes, 2 for no, just to make it easy for you. Or if you basically live here, you can go ahead and type 3, or you can let us know yes or no. I see.
Am I supposed to type 3 if I live here?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
My lighting really relies on my bright screen, doesn't it? That is not good. Let me adjust this a little bit. Oh, that's a little bit better, isn't it? Oh, it keeps falling. All right. I see yeses. I see ones. So yes, first time. A lot of first timers here. Unfortunately, we don't have the poll that. So if you have watched a screen or a stream in the past, you may be used to seeing the poll go up and down. We don't have that anymore because we're streaming to multiple destinations, but we do still have the ability to bring up your highlights. Wait, hold on. What is this? 1.5.
Ooh. How does that work?
Can you explain?
They have 1 in a possible.
1 in a possible. Okay. All right. There's a 2. So they've been here before. Welcome back. Good to see you. And I don't see any 3s, but a lot of people saying yes, their first time here. So, hey friends, good to see each of you, and really do appreciate each of you being here. Now, one more thing. So if this isn't your first time here, oh, I'm still sharing my screen. You can see the beautiful earth, can't you? It's wonderful. This right here. No, not that one. This one right here. Oh, I thought I added the other one. This one, yes. What other AWS shows have you watched? So is it AWS Power Hour, AWS Cloud Quest, Deep Dive with AWS, Get That Badge, Learn Generative AI, Let's Ship It with AWS, Quick Start on AWS, or other? And you can let us know in the chat. This is mostly for the people who said 2 or 3, the ones who said, hey, I've seen your shows before, or I basically live here. And for those who did type 1 or a yes, let us know which one of these you're actually most interested in. Now, number 1 is AWS Power Hour, which is exam prep. Number 2 is like game-based learning. Number 3 is going to be a deep dive with AWS. And here's a fun fact. Deep dive with AWS has Ivan Kopis, Dash Williams, Forrest Penland, and Trevor Spires, who are going to come back in 4 weeks. They're actually same time slot, 4 weeks from today, and they're going to talk all about AI agents with Amazon Bedrock. So you can come back then, and it's just going to compound on top of the learning for you. They're going to dive super deep, exactly like the title says. So number 3, if you want to keep learning.
Nice. That's good stuff.
So nice. Exactly. All right, John, take it away. Let's talk about all the different things that we have going on today.
Sure. Yeah, so let's go ahead and open this exam guide. Let me do that. Let me get that ready. So, as Aaron mentioned, we are talking about domain 1 today. Now, if you do want to go back, we can drop the link to last season's Power Hour, where we did spend the entire first episode just going over the exam guide, making sure you understand all of the different things and get comfortable with how the exam is going to be structured, all the different types of questions, things like that. Go back and watch that video. You'll be glad you did. You'll have all the information you need. However, out of the 5 domains, we're going to be focusing on domain 1 today, which is about 20% of the scored content. We're going to be kicking off with domain 1 has 3 task statements. Explain the basic AI concepts and terminologies. And I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to task statement 1.2. Identify practical use cases for AI. And then describe the ML development lifecycle. Okay, so there's 3 task statements here. Within these, we're just talking about fundamentals of AI and ML. We're not talking about generative AI yet. That's going to be next week. We're just talking about plain old AI, ML. Define basic terms like what is AI, what is ML, what is the difference between the two? We're going to be talking a little bit about the different types of use cases, when we can use things like computer vision versus maybe like natural language processing. When is reinforcement learning a good idea to be using? And then finally, how do we develop ML pipelines, things like that? That's going to be a little bit of our home fun later. We don't call it homework. We call it home fun.
Home fun sounds really interesting. It sounds fun. Do
Sounds
you like home
fun?
fun?
I want to do it.
I like home fun.
Yeah, that's right. So, what is next? Are we just going to jump right in?
Yes.
What is AI and ML? Is that what we're doing?
Is it AML? IML? How do you pronounce that? AI ML?
It depends.
It's
Depends where you're at.
Oh, that's a solutions architect answer right there. It depends. All right, let's go ahead and jump into it.
Cool. Let me hide this, and I think right behind. Well, what's going on here? Let me get rid of that. There it is. There it is. So this is one of my favorites. Okay, so I'm a solutions architect. I work with customers all the time about informing them about different things. I use a lot of tools in order to do that. This is a very special tool that I like to use. It's called PowerPoint. Has a lot of graphical value in the learning process, which is why I chose it for this one, because this is one of my favorite slides ever that I've ever delivered. And it's talking about the difference in traditional machine learning between artificial intelligence, machine learning, and then all the things that are that make up machine learning. So let's start by taking just a tiny step back and looking at some of the levels in the hierarchy, and starting with artificial intelligence. So what is artificial intelligence? And basically, it's essentially just
that transition. That
you like the see that's how I get
in.
Like,
yeah, and Nathaniel is like M interested. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. M interested.
Jose, it's very good, bro.
I'm glad that it's all good in the chat. It's all good with you, Aaron. Artificial intelligence. All right. It's essentially, building algorithms that can take and process information to inform future decisions. There's a lot of different ways to do that. And one of the most popular ways is machine learning. That's why you hear about it so often. Machine learning basically focuses on teaching an algorithm how to learn without explicitly being programmed to do so. And then there's 3 major classes of machine learning. There's actually more, but there's supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and then reinforcement learning.
Why did you say in that order? Because I would have gone reinforcement first and then supervised and unsupervised. Does order matter?
A lot of well, it's also because my next slide has it in this order. So
okay.
But it is basically the most popular. Like most machine learning is supervised learning. That's traditionally, dating back in time, there's a lot of supervised learning. Supervised learning is example driven. So, you give the system data in a supervised scenario where the data is already labeled. So, you know what the right kind of action is. So, for example, if the scenario is to predict house prices, you have a bunch of information about, the different houses. And then maybe at the very last column of the data, you have the list price that the house sold for. And it would be the job of the supervised model to learn how to predict the value as close to that price as possible. So you kind of know what the right answers are, and you can use examples to help you get that answer from the prediction. Then, of course, we have unsupervised learning. So
actually, before we go there, sorry, John, I see a comment, and I feel attacked. Okay, Angel wants to know if we are humans or not. Like, are we AI, ML? Are we robots? Are we humans? Angel, we are humans.
Yeah, we're humans.
Apparently, Jeff thinks I may or may not be a human. So there's that. All right, sorry.
No, it's all good. There's nothing that I wanted more as a boy to be a robot, but I'm glad that I'm a human now that, we live in this day and age, I guess.
And speaking of being humans, we are humans and we're answering your questions. So if you do have a question, go ahead and throw it in the chat as a comment and we'll do our best to answer it if we can.
Sounds good. Let's move on to unsupervised learning. So we learned, supervised learning, you're kind of making predictions based on things you already know. You can kind of use data to as an example to make predictions. Unsupervised learning, maybe you don't know what the right answer is, or maybe there are no right or wrong answers. Maybe you just want to kind of group or classify different data, find high level patterns, see how things fit together. So a common example, you may be, wanting to predict what a customer wants to buy on an e-commerce website based on what they have in their cart right now. So you're without any kind of explicit labels, there's no wrong way or right way to be a customer. You're just kind of labeling based on patterns that you've seen. And then finally, there's reinforcement learning. That is the kind of learning where you're kind of learning through consequences. Very common in AI systems that are playing games, like doing or maybe like controlling robots. So you typically have like an agent, and that agent lives in some sort of environment or a state, like a game state or an environment state or something like that. And then the agent's job is to kind of explore the different actions that it can take in that environment, and then learn based on what is good and what is bad for that agent in that environment. And that's done through a reward-based system. So if you do something like if you're playing chess and you capture a piece, that might be a good thing you want to do, and it kind of learns based on that. So
hey, John,
a little
I think this question is for Duwan. Duwan, are you a supervised human, unsupervised human, or a reinforced human?
That's a good one.
I'm an unsupervised human that learns through reinforcement.
Ooh,
okay. What's your favorite treat or reward?
Thumbs up.
Nice. All right. Hey, everyone, do me a favor. Throw a thumbs up in the chat and let's reinforce Duwan.
Cool.
But that is actually a way to give feedback to large language models through reinforcement learning. You ask it a question, was the question right or wrong? You give it thumbs up, let it know it's right. They take that feedback and help train the model and improve it for everyone.
Oh, I saw that in Amazon Q Developer. So like it says like, was this helpful? Yes or no, a thumbs up. So that's what I'm doing. I'm training that model.
You're providing feedback and helping label it so they can train it some more.
Nice.
Good stuff. I mean,
what?
That's a good overview. Go ahead.
I think this is wrong. That has to be wrong. Can you do a thumbs up? Kevin got it. Lakshmi got it. Thumbs up, everyone. If you do a thumbs up, I will pull your. You can even do like the hang loose. That I'll accept that. Duan, do you accept a hang loose? All right, cool. So hey everyone, John, go ahead. I'm going to start bringing these thumbs up on screen. So people watching, if you want to see your name on screen, do a thumbs up.
Boom.
Let's train Duan.
Last thing I want to talk about is a little bit about the development cycle. The training, evaluating, then rinse and repeat. So typically what we see is, you're going to create a model. We're going to go across this flywheel, as we say, this machine learning flywheel. You create your model, you kind of do, you configure it through hyperparameters, which are just, configuration settings that are used to kind of control the machine learning process, or, different features of that model. You train the model, you evaluate it. How well did it do? Did it do well? Is it close to what I expected? And then you kind of tweak it. Maybe it didn't get as quite as you wanted, so you reconfigure, you train it again, and it's just this never-ending cycle of just training until finally you're ready for deployment, where you can either do some sort of a batch inference or real-time inference, or maybe an edge inference if you're talking.
Dewan, is that me or is that John?
I think it's John. He should
Oh
be
no, John.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
John, you back?
I'm
You
back.
Okay, cool. Welcome back. Uh-oh. Yep.
According to me, I never left, but I'm also a human that's not a robot.
Usual robot glitch over here.
Yeah,
Uh-oh. We figured out who the robot is.
When she was Nova Real, next time he does that, it takes a screenshot of it, uploaded to Nova Real, it just write a prompt so it continues. He gets back.
There we go.
All right.
We'll work on that for next week.
Maybe backtrack like 10 seconds of what you were saying, because we missed a little bit of it.
Oh geez. I was talking about the cycle of machine learning. You start with, you train it, you evaluate it. If it's what you want, that's great. If not, you keep on tweaking and configuring and training until finally you get to your deployment stage, where you're either going to do like a batch inference, or maybe a real-time inference, or maybe an edge inference if it's like an IoT device. We're going to be talking about batch and real-time inferences later today. So we'll see a little bit more about what that looks like.
Nice.
Yeah,
all right.
Everyone, if you've never trained the model, you should do it for predicting house prices or something simple in machine learning, and then find something simple to do, like a large language model, a small language model, or just something simple, so you can see how that works, right? Because with that, the prediction is different, right? It will give you a response, but you still have to do some sort of fine tuning to get it to respond like a chat. So you may start with unsupervised learning, and then from there you have to do some labeling so it knows, okay, this response is right, that response is right, and do some more fine tuning to actually get it to respond like a chat bot or things like that.
Makes total sense. And you know what else is cool? You know what else makes total sense? Our first actual question for our friends who are watching live. Should we ask them, like, what are some other classic use cases that use a supervised, unsupervised, or reinforcement learning? And while you're answering that in the chat, I have a question that I want to pull up here real quick. So I started. First time here. Hey, welcome. Good to see you. How do you come back? When do you join? And how do you watch it? Well, you're watching on Facebook, so you can keep watching on Facebook. You can also watch on LinkedIn. You can watch on YouTube. You can watch on, it's YouTube AWS Events, by the way. And you can also watch, I always forget the other one. Facebook, oh yeah, Twitch. Okay. So you can watch on all those, or where you're at right now, if that's more comfortable for you. When do you watch? That's also a good question. So it is Monday, February 3rd. And we started streaming at 4:30 p.m. Pacific. I don't know what time that is for you, where you are. Actually, let us know in the chat where you are and what time it is. It's 6:54 p.m. for me. But you can watch it every Monday for the next 3 Mondays, today plus 3 more, because we have 4 episodes. But immediately after we're done streaming, so the month of March, the first 4 weeks there, on Mondays at the same time, starting at 4:30 p.m. Pacific, Ivan, who else? Dash, Trevor, and Forrest are going to talk about Amazon Bedrock AI agents, which is actually pretty cool, because John mentioned reinforcement learning is good for some kind of agents, right? So if you want to learn more about that, you can jump into that chat there. All right.
I love agents.
Tell us about agents.
Agents are pretty cool. So with a large language model, it's a general purpose tool. You ask it a question and it can give you an answer to that question based off the training data that it's learned from, right? But let's say you wanted to do something like look up the weather. Well, it may not know the weather in Chicago where John's at, right? So it's going to need some type of tool to do that. So you can give a large language model access to tools. And so that kind of gives it some additional capabilities. Now, what if you wanted to have a large language model that looks up the weather every day and sends you an email to let you know what the weather is as soon as you wake up at a particular time? Well, that's where agents come into play, because now you're kind of orchestrating this large language model to actually perform a task and solve that task on its own, because it can think, okay, I need to use this tool to look up the weather, but now I need to send an email. Now I need to think about how to send this email. So it goes through the process, looks up that tool, and then it can go and do this whole entire process on its own, autonomously, if you set it up that way.
That's really cool. I like the fact that you can set it up so that way you have the autonomy and the autonomously, the automation behind it, and have like that agent do the really fun stuff. I saw a comment up here though that I think is a really good topic. So with agents, you probably want to set up some kind of guardrails, right?
Yeah, think of guardrails, and John, you can chime in on this too, but think of guardrails as the firewall around your model, right? It kind of guards those inputs and monitors the outputs to kind of ensure that it doesn't say what it's not supposed to say, and it doesn't input the things that you don't want it to input, and it doesn't output the things you don't want it to output. So think of it as the firewall around your model.
If you want to learn more about guardrails, we're going to dive deeper into guardrails on episode 4. So that's 3 weeks from now. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 weeks from now. All right. Should we show all of our friends what we're going to cover and talk about today? The workshop that we're going to walk through.
Yes. You want me to pull that up? Who's pulling that up?
I got it.
You got it?
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So it's this one right here, right? Just to make sure you're on the same page as everyone. Build powerful machine learning models without writing any code in an hour. So there's that. And then we also have, that is located here within the workshop studio. So it's pretty cool. Self-paced labs, so you can go through that. You can do it at home if you want to. We can actually drop this link in the chat so you can take care of it. Just be aware, this is going to run in your own account, which means there may be costs associated. So if you decide to spin it up, be aware of the cost. And when you're done with it, immediately close everything down so you don't have more cost. But if you want to do it, you can follow along with us. Here's the cleanup process. Like I mentioned, you want to make sure that you clean everything up, reduce your overall footprint, and hopefully not have additional cost outside of the workshop and the data sets that are used, because we don't get things just because we made them up. There's actually data sets that are provided by the workshop team, and you can upload that data to Amazon S3 directly from that datasets.zip file. And actually, Dewan or John, are each of you going to walk us through this workshop and downloading the data set and opening the data set and seeing what's in there and sending the pigeons to go send a message? What are we? Is that
sending
right?
the agents? The pigeons are agents.
The pigeons are agents. All right. Who's driving this? Is it Dewan?
Yes, I'm up.
All right.
Okay. So as Aaron mentioned, this workshop is available online. Someone should drop it in the chat. And if you are, thank you in advance, team, for helping us out. Now, there is cost associated with it. So if you're running this, check the pricing calculator. And also when you're done, make sure you shut down, terminate any instances or services that you have, and remove everything from your buckets and delete them. Now, when we're going through this, there's 3 different labs that are associated with it. They're really focused around computer vision, natural language processing, and classical machine learning, to kind of give you an overview of how some of these traditional services on AWS work when it comes to machine learning. Now, we have a ton of services around this area, but this is just something simple, something we've been doing a long time on AWS before generative AI. These services have been around. So when it talks about the data set that we'll be using, I've already deployed this in my account, but I will show you where they are and how we go about these steps. So the first thing you want to do is download this data set. And if I open this zip, it'll download, you unzip it. And then once you have it unzipped, then from there, you upload those files through Amazon S3. Now, you can do this using the AWS CLI. I recommend if you're using AWS, get used to using the AWS CLI. It makes your life a lot easier. But if not, you can go to the console, open up Amazon S3. And then from there, you should have a bucket, which we deployed this as a Workshop Studio account. So this has a bucket called No Code ML Workshop. And when we go in here, we have 3 different folders. Each one of these folders are associated with the different labs that we have. In the first one, we're going to focus on the logo detection. Now, when it comes to training a model, you want to have a 80-20 split. And what does that mean? Well, you want to use 80% of your data to actually train a model, and then you want to have 20% of your data to actually evaluate or test the model. And the reason why you want to do that is because that 80% of your data is going to train a model, but you don't want to have all of your data in the actual training, because otherwise you're not going to get the type of results that you can expect. You may overfit your model to always answer correctly on all of your test sets. And you don't want that. You want to be able to evaluate it on data that's unseen. So you save 20% of that data.
Yeah, because you don't want your model to have too much bias and like sway too far to one side or the other side. You want it to have like more accurate representation of like the actual tested data, right? Or trained data.
Yeah, you want to really focus and get an understanding on the training data. And then you don't really want to overfit it to understand data that is not seen. So that's how you do that. And so what we're going to do in this first lab, we're going to basically look at AWS logos in images and be able to recognize them and predict if this image contains an AWS logo. And for this, we're going to use Amazon Rekognition. So we go to lab 1, we'll open up Amazon Rekognition to actually start labeling our data.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Is Rekognition like a machine learning service, or is it a generative AI service? What kind of service is that?
This is a machine learning service. This service, the way this service works is, and I'll pull it up so we can actually look at it. So we come in here and we type Rekognition. It's going to pull up Amazon Rekognition. What this allows us to do is identify objects and images. Let's say you want to identify, in this case, we're using Amazon Amazon logos, but what if you want to identify all the stars that are in an image? If you're taking a picture of space and you want to identify the different planets, or if you have different pictures of people and you want to identify all of the one that's in the image, well, you can actually use Amazon Rekognition to identify each image that contains Dewan or Aaron to do that.
Nice.
I did that once. I made myself famous.
I thought
train a model.
Man, you got like 50 million subscribers across all your video platforms.
No, man, that's you. You're Mr. Lab every day. I'm just Aaron S. Hunter.
All right. No, so while we're in Rekognition, this workshop walks you through everything. I mentioned that we're going to detect AWS logos within images. But in order to do that, we have to do something called custom labels in order to make this happen. So let's go through and do some pre-processing to actually set this up so we can train our model to be able to identify these logos. So the first thing we need to ensure is that we have an image data set up to 250,000 images. But then we need to ensure
that's a lot.
That it's a lot of images, but
that's a lot of images.
That is a lot of images.
Is it a lot?
I don't know. How many images do I have on my phone? I'm gonna check. Okay, Dewan, go ahead. Hey, everyone, let us know how many images you have on your phone. I'm gonna check too.
All right. So once you have that, you need to ensure that your images are a minimum image dimension of 64 pixels by 64 pixels, and a maximum of 4096 pixels by 4096 pixels. And if you need to resize your images, that you can look up a Python script or something that actually do that for you. I actually had to do it myself from the images that I use for one of my projects. Now, we've already opened up Rekognition, but I mentioned we're going to use custom labels, and I'll show you why we're going to do this. So let's actually go through this step. So we'll click use custom labels, and then we'll click get started. Now that we're going here, we'll click projects and actually have a project in here. So I wonder if I can delete this project. We'll type delete.
You already have a project. I don't know how to find out how many photos I have on my phone. One person said 17,000. That's a lot.
17,000? Wow.
That's a lot.
I already have a project, but we'll go ahead and just create a new project. Shouldn't be an issue. And we'll call this AWS logo detection for this project, and we'll click create project. Now, the first thing we need to do is create our data set. This is our collection of images and image labels that we'll use to train and test the model. So let's go ahead and create our data set. To do this, we're going to use a single data set because we're going to, like I mentioned before, we're going to have 80% of our data for training and then 20% of our data for testing. And Rekognition is going to divide this up for us. Now from there, we're going to use an S3 bucket to upload our images. So now we have Amazon S3. We'll select that to import the images. And from here, we'll have to manually enter our S3 URI where our images are located.
And that's that S3 // like basically the link, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So let me open
and you can get that from the S3 bucket itself. It'll actually show it there. So if you click into the data set and then like on the link, right? And then
train.
You have to go into, I think you have to click on it. Yeah. Oh, you can just do that. Okay.
Do that. Highlight.
Nice. Okay.
It's a quality of life improvement.
Right.
And so now we have our images where all of our images are located in our training set. And now we want to automatically assign the labeling. And let's make sure that's what it wants us to do. I believe so. And yep, we wanted to automatically assign the image level labeling. So we'll select that. Now, in order for Amazon Rekognition to be able to access our S3 bucket, we actually have to configure a bucket policy. By default, your bucket is private to you. You're the only one that can access that bucket. But if other services or if you need someone else in another account needs to access that bucket, you'll have to configure a bucket policy to allow permissions to that bucket. And so Amazon Rekognition creates this bucket policy for us. It'd be nice if it had a copy button, but it doesn't. So we'll just highlight it all, and then we'll go ahead and update our policy in S3 for our bucket. So we'll go back and we'll open up our bucket. And to do that, we're going to click on permissions and then scroll down to bucket policy, and then we'll click edit. And I already have a policy in here, but we'll go ahead and remove that and we'll update it with the new policy. And this policy is just letting you know, let's break this down because some of you may not have configured a bucket policy, but when you're configuring policies or when you're accessing services on AWS, you can provide different services access to another service. And to do that, you modify the principal, and here we're using the service of Rekognition.amazonaws.com. And then you actually tell it which actions you want to take. And these are the actions: get bucket ACL, get bucket location. And if we scroll down, what we really want to focus on is get object versioning, and then get bucket ACL. And it's different policy input object, because you need, once the models have been trained, you need to be able to output to another bucket. So it needs to be able to store an object as well.
And I see under the resource, it has that star at the end. That means that I can do that, those, the get object, get ACL for any of the objects within that bucket, right?
Correct. So if you got different folders within that bucket, that's going to apply to everything, objects or folders within that bucket. It will apply to all of them.
Got it.
Fun fact. You ready for a fun fact?
Fun fact. Let's go.
A folder is an object. It's a 0-byte object. It's basically just a placeholder because S3 is flat. It has no folders.
Some people.
You're welcome.
What does that mean? What does flat mean? What does a flat object storage mean?
I'm not going to go into whether or not S3 is flat or round. I will tell you it's flat. The Earth is round.
So if you do have like what we call folders in S3, all of the contents within that folder
right,
has it's basically just a really long file name that has slashes in it with the folders and everything. So like you said, Aaron, like it's a 0-byte object for that folder, because it's not actually a file or an object or whatever we're going to call it. It's just kind of
if it's not a folder, is it a file? Is it an object?
It's an agent. I'm convinced. Everything's an agent.
It's a robot. It's a John.
Now we do get this permissions error here, but that doesn't apply to the workshop. This is just letting us know the account that we're using does not have permissions to apply certain permissions, but that's okay. It won't affect the actual.
Speaking of permissions, can you diagnose with Amazon Q, or will it yell at you? Because this role that you're in probably doesn't have permissions to use Q, does it?
No.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah. So with workshops, they're kind of scoped down really, really hard. So you can only do what the workshop will allow you to do. You can't even use Q in this case either.
Now, some may say guardrailed.
Yes. Let's not confuse this though. If you're doing this in your own account, this will not apply. This is because the type of account we're using is kind of like a demo account. We call them workshop accounts. If you ever attend something like re:Invent or a summit, or maybe even a meetup where we're hosting a workshop or game day, these are the type of accounts you'll have where you're limited to the things you can do that basically apply what is it called? Role base, and what is that? I'm drawing a blank. I am drawing a blank on the type of permissions I am thinking. It's basically like a need to know, like things you can do. What is it? And nobody's going to.
I was on mute. Role-based access control or least privilege.
Least privilege. That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
And
save the day. Look at that.
You know what? I'm going to save the day for all of our viewers too, because I've seen this question like 5 times. How can you watch the video afterwards? Well, on the platform that you're on, it's still going to be there for you. But I've seen Jeff Kerwin say it's going to be available on twitch.tv/AWS. That's a fact. It'll also be available on LinkedIn. As for YouTube, I'll have to verify that, and I'll get an answer for you next week. As for Facebook, yeah, it's going to be on there too. So whatever platform you're on, go back to the page you're watching it from, and it should be there. But I'm going to verify on YouTube. Actually, you know what? I'm going to verify right now. I'm going to reach out to our production crew and get an answer hopefully by the end of the stream. Duan, back over to you. I'm sorry for the interruption.
Oh, you good? You good? We have to give the training and the updates. I get it.
And the chat is coming in. Oh, yeah. Least privilege. Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, the chat came through. Thumbs up to the chat. All right. So now that we have our permissions updated on the S3 bucket, we're going to go ahead and create our data set. So we'll click create data set. And this might take a few minutes to complete. But once we do that, let's actually look at our workshop. And it's right here, actually. Once we do that, the next thing we need to do is, I believe, label our data. Yeah. So once we have our data set created, the next thing we need to do is actually label the data. So what this does is it provides the model examples of what the AWS logo looks like on the image. So we're labeling it to say, okay, here's an image and here's an AWS logo. And we're providing different examples. So when a model trains, it will know and be able to identify an AWS logo within any image up to a particular percentage. We'll talk about what that actually looks like. So we'll come in here and we'll click start labeling. Uh-oh. Yes.
You gotta select them. Can you select all?
No.
There's no select all?
There's no.
So my trick is to tab space. If you press the tab key, boom.
What? Can you do that?
Space,
Boom.
space bar.
Yeah, I got you. So tab.
Yeah, you got me. Yep. Boom.
Boom.
Keyboard.
Okay.
Now you're doing the dance. You're doing the tab
But
space dance.
what was the limit to the number of images? 250,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now what we have to do, I selected all the images on this page. And basically, you can't select them all that's in your data set. You actually have to select them page by page. And so what I'm going to do now is draw bounding boxes around the AWS logo within each image. And here's how we do it. It already has everything, the ability for us to select. So we'll come through and we'll select the bounding box for that. Then we'll go to the next one and we'll do the same thing.
Oh, I get it. So while you're doing that, I think I'll try to explain what I think is happening. So
Yes.
what you're doing is you're creating this bounding box that's identifying in the image specifically where it says AWS, right? With like the logo. So let's say if you're wearing a shirt, and if we took a picture of you and just uploaded the photo of you as one of the images, we can do a bounding box around the logo on your shirt. It's going to train the model to look at that specific pixel range, right? Because it's not like an image, it's the range of pixels to like map the logo. Yeah.
Yep. But it seems like a relationship, right? The relationship between like the A and the W and the S and the smile logo and everything.
And like this one has a lot going on, but Dewan is telling the system to only look at that specific area of the image.
I almost didn't see it here. Like, I'm so glad for machine learning because I almost didn't see that logo. I was looking at that deep racer car.
That's a pretty powerful deep racer car.
It was a deep racer Evo.
Yeah. Oh, I also just got confirmation from our production team that if you're watching on YouTube, yes, the video will also be available on YouTube. It's YouTube AWS events specifically.
All right, I save changes, and then I'm gonna go to the next page. The last time I didn't save changes, we kind of lost it. So
oh no. Okay. Yeah. While you're waiting for that, John said he almost missed the AWS logo on that deep racer image, and Jeff says that John's model needs more training. So
man, I'm really losing today with the not a human jokes.
Yeah, and Dewan, not sure if you know this, but is there a technical name for trying to make the model forget something, or is it kind of like a reinforce? Let's say you train your model and you're like, oh, not the good results. Like, how do you get the results that you want?
Yeah,
or maybe you don't want to see something.
Right.
That's gonna
like
be
a content filter. Sorry, go ahead.
That's gonna be fine, Tony, but I'll let you finish, John.
I was gonna say like another popular use for Rekognition is content filtering. So if there's things that you don't want to see, like if you don't want to see certain words or certain images, you can also use Rekognition as a content filter. So I forget, not see. I don't know if the similarity of what you're looking for is there, but there are some aspects of what I think what you're trying to say that exist within machine learning and Rekognition altogether.
Yeah, so if you have a website that displays images, right, you can use Rekognition to scan all of those images. If there's some that meet this criteria, you don't show that image.
Yep.
Yeah, I got you.
You can filter it that way, but if you need to like make the model forget something, and the short answer is you retrain it, and then you test it again.
Yeah, there's all different ways you can take that question, but that's also a really good answer too.
All right. So I saved it on page 1 and notice that we have bounding boxes around the AWS logo for this page. We're going to go through the next page and do the same thing. And then we should be at the point where we can actually train our model. And we'll click start labeling. And we'll do John's trick.
I think you need to select one first.
Select one first, then tab.
Yeah.
There we go. Look.
Boom, we're training the Duan agent right now. Look at how to tab space. Oh, that's actually a really good question. For our developer friends, are you tabs or spaces person?
There we go. Let's set the internet on fire right now.
Is it GIF or GIF? Pineapple on pizza? all the...
Hey, I'll bite. I love. No, never mind. You almost got me.
Okay, serious question. Hey, friends watching live, let us know. Do you add pineapple on pizza?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a.
It's delicious.
Is it just pineapple, or like do you add anything else? Like I used to do the Hawaiian like pineapple ham, but I've really fallen in love with like pineapple pepperoni.
Oh, I'm so happy that I have 2 co-hosts that are pro pineapple on pizza. This never happens.
Pineapple on pizza is the move. That is
not all the time, but like, you know, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to prove.
Here's a question I don't know the answer to. I'm gonna look it up. Can the labeling only be a rectangular shape? I don't know. It looks like based on what Duan had, there's fit image. Is there like can you
those are all just
I think it's just square or rectangle.
It's just square.
Yeah.
Drawing happy little rectangles.
Yes. All right, so we're done. At that point, we'll go ahead and save. And now if we go back through our document, this is all our labeling. And once we're done, we can go ahead and click train. And this will take a little while for us to be able to train our model. So we'll go back and we've got all our bounding boxes around our data. So we have our labels. And next thing we need to do is train the model. Now we'll choose a project. We'll select AWS logo detection because that is the project we have. And then from there, we just click train model. There's nothing left for us to do. Now we could do some encryption, but we're not going to do that. We also can do some tags, and that will help with search and understand different costs associated with our different teams. But from there, we're going to click train model.
Happy little rectangles.
And this could take between 30 and 24 hours, 30 minutes and 24 hours.
I was going to say 30 hours and 24 hours. Ding. That's long.
But this is a small data set. So 30 minutes max. But from there, I think, John, you can kind of take over and maybe go through your lab, and then we come back and we'll do some inference.
Cool. We'll go back to happy little rectangles. Do we want to do, what do we want to do?
I'm getting caught up in the chat. Pineapple, ham, and jalapeno poppers.
Well, I think, Aaron, you got a question, or do you have a question?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I guess I should pull that up, huh? Oh, shoot. I did the wrong one. Wait. Yes. I can't see you. Can you pull up my screen? Oh, wait, hold on. What just happened? Oh no. Where did it go?
Well, your screen. I'll add it.
No, I got it.
There we go. There we go.
Ready?
We're going to save it.
Okay, thank you. I can't see anything. Okay, friends, question for you. A company wants to automatically detect customer sentiment from product reviews written in multiple languages. Which AWS service would be most cost-effective and require least development effort? Is this the question that you wanted me to pull up?
That is not the question I wanted you to pull up.
I think it's a good one.
It's a good one, though.
It is a good one.
I think it's exactly what we need.
I kind of wish you would have added Rekognition here, because that would have been like a really good distractor. Because we just got done talking about it, right? So is it Amazon Comprehend? Is it Amazon Lex, Amazon Poly, or Amazon Translate? John,
Product
what
reviews.
do you think?
We're talking about sentiment. So we're not talking, I don't see anything about images here. So yeah, wouldn't think it's Rekognition. Also, it's not one of the choices, so I'm not going to choose that.
Which AI service is most cost effective and requires the least development efforts?
That's a very AWS exam thing to say.
Yeah.
I would say that I do know that Lex is, especially in these generative AI world that we live in now, Lex is very popular for chatbots using generative AI. So I know that it's probably not Lex for customer sentiment.
Okay.
I do know. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Translate. We're not really going from one language to another. I would say Amazon Comprehend.
Well, what about Poly? Duan, what do you think about Poly?
When I think of Poly, I think Poly want a cracker. So you're saying something, you're repeating something, you're taking text and turning it into speech.
Okay. So text to speech model. Lex is like the lexicon type stuff, right? So translate is like language to language. So did we just like narrow it down to comprehend, or do we think we know what comprehend is?
I think I comprehend that the answer is Amazon Comprehend.
Okay. I think you're right. Now, I can't see the chat, and that's unfortunate. What does the chat think? Did they cast a vote?
I see a lot of comprehends.
Okay.
I see a couple Lexes.
Yeah, I see a couple Lexes. I see a lot of comprehends, though.
A lot of comprehends?
Yeah.
A lot of ones, too. That's fine, too. I know what you mean. Do we want to talk a little bit about Amazon Comprehend?
We should. Yeah. So what is it?
Well, let me relieve you of your screen sharing duties.
Thank you.
And
I have Rekognition highlighted there. Oh, look, you have comprehend. It's almost like we planned this.
It's almost like I wrote that question and then I played like I didn't. So we got Amazon Comprehend. Amazon Comprehend is an AI service on AWS. What I really like about these services that we're talking about now, Rekognition, Comprehend, Lex, Poly, Translate, these are all API level services, meaning that you don't need to necessarily write a bunch of machine learning code. You can basically launch it from the console or the CLI and then use an API to get inference results back. That makes it really, really easy to use, especially in like a software development lifecycle where maybe you're not a data scientist. You just want, quick results. Just give me the product reviews, the sentiment from the customers. That's all I really care about. Right. So fun fact about those services, why I like them so much. Can I show you a little bit about what Comprehend does?
No.
Okay. Back to you, Duan. See you.
Oh, he just straight up left.
So we do have some. I'm assuming that I'm actually going to show you. You do want to know.
Yes, please. Actually, you know what? I wonder if the chat wants to know. Like, does the chat want to see it?
That's what I want to know too.
That's what I want to know.
Does the chat want me to prove that I'm human and then I can take new instructions?
Thumbs up.
There we go.
Thumbs up. Wait, we're doing this, right? Okay, one person said yes. Please go ahead. We'll take that as the vote for everyone.
All right, I love it. So if you open Comprehend, like I said, it's an API level service. That's how you interact with it through API calls. But on the console, we do have a nice little demo playground that you can interact with, where you can see things like if we have this input text, your any company financial services. Let me blow this up. Credit card account, blah, 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 has a minimum payment of this. This looks like an account number. That's no good. This looks like some PII data. This is an address. So what you can do
email
here
address too, probably,
is you can, like, for example, go to PII and then just find the PII in that paragraph. So you can change. It's just analyzing the paragraph that we had above, and it does natural language processing to identify personal identifiable information.
You know what's cool about this? Like, if you go back to the page that you just had, like, you don't have to go back a page, but like there was a screen under Insights.
Mm.
Go down.
Okay, so I think you want me to. Oh, a screen under Insights. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and then scroll up just a little bit.
Oh, burp, burp.
You have to go up a little bit, I think. Yeah, and then right there it says, I think it says entities. Try clicking on that.
Oh yeah. I was going there next.
Yeah, that shows like the different types of identified stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's a name or a phone number or an address
some
or
sort of subject, right?
Okay.
In the thing. What I really like is syntax. I need this in my life. I needed it when I was in like grade school. It shows me all the different proper nouns and, you know, the verbs and all that stuff with a confidence score. Hello is only about a third of the way confident that that's a proper noun.
I'm not a proper noun, but my pronouns are he, him. So there's that.
Yep.
So I got a question. Like, generative AI is really good at doing this, but these seem to be particularly trained for this specific purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know if you should use like a general purpose large language model to perform this task, or something like Amazon Comprehend?
Ooh, I like that question. And I think that the answer depends on what you're trying to do. You know, if you're just trying to get product reviews, typical essay, I gave you an answer. It's a good answer. Come on. No, if you're looking for product reviews and you're just trying to get like sentiment analysis from something, like this is a great quick tool to get exactly what you're looking for. Generative AI at this point, you know, you really need to be conscious of the breadth of the model that you're actually using, the foundation model, right? So it's really good for, you know, large implementations where you're using a lot of different things. You know, you're asking a lot of different questions of your data. This is much more targeted of a use case for machine learning.
Is one more, and I'm just asking for myself, actually, is one more accurate than the other?
That's good. I mean, it all depends on the training. You know, that virtuous cycle that you keep on going. And then, you know, you can train it specifically on what you're trying to get. And that's a little bit about what the lab does. Nice. That we're going to talk about. We're going to create a custom a classifier for our natural language processing.
This gets me excited, and I don't get excited.
Should we get into it?
Here's one comment that's actually like talking about AI, ML, the differences and all that. So this technically isn't generative AI. This is linguistic probability tooling, or a tool, which is like the probability of a word structure and how close it is in relationship to other stuff, right? So generative AI is generating something. So if we said, hey, generative AI or Amazon Bedrock, take this wall of text and tell me a story about something based on the text that we're providing to you, that's generative AI is generating something from something, some kind of a prompt. Whereas this is like Amazon Comprehend is considered under the category of linguistic probability tooling.
Love it.
There you go. The more you know.
Thank you. Are we going into this this workshop?
Yes.
I need a thumbs up.
We have 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So this is lab 2 of the before mentioned workshop that we're working on. I'm gonna pop that into our host channel so that we can disseminate that through all the different socials. What we're gonna be doing is, let's take a look at the data. Actually, let's start there. I'm gonna zoom this over. Here it is. This is the training data. This is a bunch of different news headlines. You can see Chicago Cubs. I'm from Chicago. This is very old. Jim Hendry is not the GM anymore. He hasn't been for over 20 years. But ooh, you know what? This is about Sammy Sosa too. That's interesting. Anyways, we're looking at different news articles and we're trying to place them in like what kind of category they belong in for the news. So we've got like sports for Chicago Cubs, sci-tech for something that happened in September 2004, business news for Virgin Mobile, a bunch of other stuff. So that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to create a custom classifier that's going to look at a news article and then classify it for which category of the news it should go in. Super, super cool. It's not one of the use cases that we talked about here. So, kind of the out of the box use cases that Comprehend offers are entities, key phrases, language. 99% confident that this is English. PII, sentiment we looked at, targeted sentiment. That's interesting. Positive, neutral, negative, or mixed. And then syntax we looked at as well. So it's not that news category isn't part of that. We have to create a custom classification. So I already created one. We're going to jump to this in a second. But let's go ahead and create a new model. And you can train this on a variety of different types. So you can do it on like PDF, Word docs, images, or just plain text documents. That's what we're going to do. And then also a CSV file. We're going to use the CSV file. Now we've got single labeled mode or multi-labeled mode. So for single label mode, let me try to remember this. So single data is one class and then one document on each line. So this is kind of talking about how your document, how your CSV files are formatted. If you use multi-labeled mode, which is what we're going to do, we've got multiple classes per document, and that's kind of what we saw in that Excel. Remember, in the CSV, we've got each line is a different class, a different classifier. So we've got that's kind of how we're structuring. We're trying to feed the model information about what's inside of our document so it can better understand it. So that's what we're doing. We've got different delimiters here based on the file that you're using. So for CSV, for CSV, you will probably be using a comma. However, I know that what we have is a pipe delimiter, so we're going to leave it at that. And then we're going to find our training data, and I'm going to go into my bucket, this no code ML workshop.
Check out this comment. That's Trevor Spot. He's going to host the deep dive Amazon Bedrock AI Agents show in 4 weeks. Hey, ooh. Trevor, good to see you, friend.
Thanks for stopping by. Can't wait for next month. It's going to be great. So we're going to go into our workshop bucket. We'll go into the models, and there's nothing there because that is the wrong folder. It's not a folder. It's an object. It's a flat 0-byte object. We already talked about this. What I meant to say is we're going to go to the training data right here. It's a whole whopping 196 kilobytes created earlier today, February 3rd. So we're going to choose that. That's what we're going to use. We've got a lot of different options here for the test data set, whether it's going to be auto split, which means that it's going to select 10% of that training data to use for testing. And we kind of talked about that earlier. Duan talked about the 80-20. This time we're apparently going to use a 90-10. Or you can provide your own training data, which I have here in this folder. Your own test data, I mean to say. You can do that as well. And then we've got the output data. We can kind of set up our permissions, whether we want to use an existing role. I already created one earlier, or you can just create one right now. I don't like to just create things for no reason if I already have it. So I'm just going to use that same one that I used earlier. Then we create it. But first we have to name it. What's a good name for it? Somebody tell me. I'm going to use news because that's what we're doing.
You can't ask for a name and then use your own name and not wait for an answer.
There's like a lag. There's a lag between the chat and what I'm doing, and time is money.
What if I said time is money? What if that's my answer?
Well, it's too late because time was money and I already clicked create.
Fine.
And that's how easy it is to use comprehend, custom classifiers. And now we have to allow several minutes to a few hours for this to create. So talk about time is money. Do you have a few hours to spare?
No, we have 10 minutes.
Yes. Right. So that's why I'm going to go to the one that I completed earlier. Because it's you can see that this one is submitted, this one is trained, because I made it earlier, approximately a few hours earlier. So we can go into this one, and then we can see, looking for this one, we'll go into our first version, and then we can actually see by going to endpoints. So the endpoint is the inference endpoint that we're using. So you can create an endpoint to be able to interact back and forth. And then, excuse me, you can use real-time analysis based on some input text, just like we saw in kind of the comprehend playground. I have this input text that we can use. We can analyze it. This is just a blurb, and we can see what kind of label it would put this news article. So 98% confident that this is some sort of scientific technology kind of passage in a news article, which is pretty close. I mean, this is a tech service, so I think I got it. What do you think?
Duan's been quiet. What do you think, Duan?
I think you got it.
Yeah, I think we got it. I think we got it. So that's just a little taste of Amazon Comprehend, a bite-size brief, if you will, with the time that we have left. Take it away, Aaron.
I was on mute and I realized I can't get back to the the slide. So let's do this. I am going to pull up the slide here and
let me add you to the screen.
Yeah, if you can, please. Thank you.
There you go.
All right, perfect. All right, so a data science team has a large data set of customer transactions and wants to quickly explore different machine learning approaches to predict fraud. They want to understand which algorithms might work best before investing time in detailed model deployment. Which AWS service would be most appropriate? Go ahead and let us know in the chat. You can type 1, 2, 3, or 4. Is it Amazon Fraud Detector, Amazon Lookout for Metrics, Amazon SageMaker Autopilot, or Amazon Forecast?
Data science team.
I guess I should probably bring that back up, huh?
Yeah.
There we go.
Data science team has a large data set of customer transactions. Which one can I use to predict fraud? Somebody just took a screenshot.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, screenshot.
Which algorithms would work best? It's not talking about fraud necessarily. Look out for metrics. I know that service. It is not about this. Look out for metrics is commonly used for like
anomaly detection, right?
Anomaly detection, yeah. Like manufacturing is kind of specifically, but Amazon Forecasts, we're trying to predict the future. That's what Forecast is all about. Part of the SageMaker Canvas suite.
Predicting the future, somewhere like time series type data.
But which model should I use? That's kind of the question here.
It's actually asking also which service would be most appropriate. So I think SageMaker Autopilot to try like different algorithms and generating notebooks into like explaining the process and everything. Even creating like model leaderboards. Should we see which one's correct?
I think we should.
Yes.
There it is. All right. So up next after this, now that we have that, I can't see the chat, so let me know if anyone guessed SageMaker Autopilot.
I see a bunch of threes.
Yeah, I see a
There we
bunch.
go. Perfect. Everyone is perfect and on the right path. Duan, do you want to quickly go through Lab 3, maybe talk about it high level, and then we'll wrap things up here in about 5-10-ish minutes?
Yes, quickly go through Lab 3. So Lab 3 is all about what we just discussed, Amazon SageMaker Autopilot. Now, this for me was something that I started earlier. I didn't get a chance to finish it, but basically what you want to do is open up Amazon SageMaker, and then inside of SageMaker, we're going to go into, I believe it's Studio. Is it Studio?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. There we go. And then we'll open SageMaker Studio. And so this will bring us to SageMaker Studio, where we have all of our machine learning needs in one place. Whether you need compute, if you need to do some data pipelines, and we have this thing called AutoML, which is SageMaker Canvas. Well, the canvas that we kind of discussed. And that's the thing. So this is what I want to talk to you about, John. They actually changed this from a new way to an old way. The new way is the autopilot in Canvas, but the old way you could actually pull up autopilot itself in a different window. What's the difference between the two?
Yeah, so SageMaker Canvas is basically your one-stop shop for any kind of no-code, low-code machine learning type of tools. So there's a lot of different things that you can do within Canvas. It's got a really slick UI, in my opinion. But one of the things you can do here is, forecasting, for example. You can also do, auto tune, which is what we're trying to do here, and basic or autopilot. What we're trying to do, which is basically, I've got a bunch of different models. I don't know which one is the right one to use to train my my model. So why don't you just do them all and then tell me which one works best? Like which one had the best results? So that's a little bit about what SageMaker Autopilot within SageMaker Canvas does. And we're going through a little bit of a rebranding, but that's the new branding.
Nice. Now I'm trying to get through this fast. This kind of explains it, everything you just discussed. But what we need to do is find the data set that we'll be using. And for this, we'll be using the bank marketing data set. This data set is available for free, which is one of the cool things about machine learning. If you're getting started with machine learning, whether it's in Amazon, SageMaker, Comprehend, or whatever platform you decide to use, there are a ton of open source and freely available data sets that you can use to help you learn and get started. Now, as we go through this data set, we'll have to download it, which I believe it's already been downloaded in the workshop. And if I go to my S3 bucket, and I go to objects, and I go in this folder, and inside a folder, we can take a look at our training data. And I believe we can actually open that. And this is the training data that we have. I don't want to convert. And this is all our training data that we'll use for this workshop. And can you see that? I guess you can't.
I see the S3 window.
You just still see the S3 window. Okay. Either way, I downloaded the training data and it opened, but for some reason,
he was like, just trust me.
Yeah, it's there. We downloaded it. So now we have our training data.
It should look like that.
And it does look like this. Yes. Now, when we're in the autopilot and we want to actually create a job. So this kind of walks through everything I've just done to open up Amazon SageMaker, click on domains, and then we're going to launch Studio, which I've already opened. And then once you're in Studio, this actually goes through the opening up the AutoML, which I've already opened it. and then we want to create a new AutoML environment. And this is what I meant, that it goes through the older process in the workshop. So, John, I may need some help guiding me through the new process, if you don't mind.
Yeah. We just got a few minutes left. I'll go ahead and jump in and share my screen.
Okay.
Boom. There it is.
Yep.
So once you're in Canvas, you have to add that CSV as a data set. So I added it as the bank marketing tabular data set here. And I think if I click on it, you'll be able to see everything here. So yeah, we've got, the same CSV that we saw earlier. And then once you go to My Models, you can create a new model. As you can see, I already created one earlier, a few hours ago. But you basically, name it bank model live. You can do all different things here. You can even do image analysis in Canvas. Once again, you don't have to be a data scientist to use this. This is a very easy point and click GUI to be able to do predictive analysis and things like that. Next thing we have to do is attach which data set we're actually talking about here. We'll select that one. And then our target column. Which one do we actually want to utilize, for our, which column do we want to actually target for, the prediction that we want to do? And what we want to use this Y column. From there, we can do a quick build. We can kind of do a quick build of that, or we can do a standard build. We want to click standard build for this one because we want to go through all of the different presets that we have and go through that. And then I'm looking for something that I missed here. I think is it under? Oh, I needed to hit configure model. That's what it was. Here, we're going to do it really quick. Boom, boom, boom. Bank, predictive, create. Select the data set.
Yeah, quick right now is good because we got like 3 minutes.
Quick. Why? That's where we were. Okay, configure model. So this is the model type. We've got the different kind of business questions that we can ask. And then down here is training method and algorithms. So this is what I want, the objective metric. So we've got all different types of metrics that, you in terms of optimizing, like which one is the best one to use to help optimize our model. We've got the F1 score, which kind of is a combination of precision and recall, which is, precision measures, the accuracy of, the positive predictions. Recall measures the ability to find all of the different relevant kind of cases. And F1 is a kind of an amalgamation of both of those. And that's kind of what we want to use to help us find the best performing model and then utilize that. So that's in a nutshell what we're doing when we're trying to find the best model that works and then utilize that.
So the cool thing about this is that if you don't really know which algorithm you should use, it will determine automatically which algorithm to use to be able to train your data. Another key piece that you mentioned is the target, and just to ensure that when you select Y, this is the thing that you're trying to predict, right? So you identify the target. Okay, maybe you want to predict price when it comes to houses. So it says, okay, here's your target on what you want to predict, and then it uses the data to be able to determine how to predict that price.
Yep. So if you look at the data set, we've got information about a person. It looks like people, all sorts of interesting stuff. And then the Y is this last column. This is what we're trying to predict. Will they get approved for the house based on the other columns that we see here? Cool.
These tools make it really simple, because a lot of the questions I get around machine learning is, do you need to learn math? Which, yes, eventually when you're doing this, you you will have to learn some type of math if you really dive into machine learning. But if you're using these no-code tools, that kind of handles a lot of that heavy lift for you to help you actually solve some of your machine learning based problems right away.
Yep. You can, it has everything from, building it. This is the stage that we were at, later to be able to analyze it and then make predictions and then even deploy that model, all in the same kind of screen, the same kind of flow for that model. Really, really powerful stuff.
And then once you deploy the model, you can actually make API calls for predictions and build this in your application, right? Using Jupyter Notebooks or hosting it in the AWS.
There you go.
Nice.
And speaking of Jupyter Notebooks and all that, that kind of leads a pathway into like machine learning operations or ML ops. So that is this week's home fun. So all of our friends, go through the lab that we actually just walked through, that workshop. If you want to do it in your own account, just be aware of the cleanup and any cost that may be associated with that. But additionally, we have this really cool additional workshop studio for you, SageMaker ML Ops from idea to production in 6 steps. So you can go through this workshop and get some additional hands-on experience with Amazon SageMaker, which is a very big portion of not only the machine learning engineer associate exam. You're not here for that, but if you are studying for that one, that's a big thing to know. But it's also a big portion of the AI practitioner certification. So be aware that Amazon SageMaker is kind of a between that and Bedrock. Those 2 services are really foundational for anything that's AI ML in the AWS ecosystem. So go ahead, check this out. Let us know on LinkedIn, probably. If you have any problems about it, you can send us a message. Duan, are you cool with messages on LinkedIn? John, are you cool with messages on LinkedIn?
I love them.
I'm cool too. So if you have any problems with it or questions, send us a message. We'll do our best to help you. No promises, but we do say, please tag us on a post. Let us know one thing you learned from the workshop, or if you enjoyed the episode, and we will engage with you and celebrate with you on any wins that you achieve. So thanks for joining, everyone. Really do appreciate it. John, Duan, you 2 are amazing. Seriously.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thanks.
Fun.
We'll see you next week, everyone. Same time, either YouTube, AWS events, LinkedIn, Amazon Web Services, Facebook, Amazon Web Services, or twitch.tv/AWS. Thank you to our chat moderators, also Polly and Jeff. You are amazing. Thank you to our production crew behind the scenes, Paco and Sue. And thank you to everyone involved who has been involved. We will see you next week at 4:30 p.m. Pacific on one of those platforms. And until then, take care.